for the tie. Off the rim, and it's over. This miracle run continues.
Seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
At midcourt, extra pass.
And again.
And all of a sudden, they were best free throw shooter. Flight down the stretch.
The lob, and that will do it. Do you believe it? For just the second time ever.
Hello and welcome back to Minardi Maddness. I know it's been a while since last episode. Basically went on spring break. I got sick, so it's been a few weeks, but obviously the Final Four happened. March Madness is over, so I'm just going to go over that. First, I want to talk about the Duke run because I was hoping for them to make a run. I thought they would have been able to get to the Final Four, but they got to the Elite Eight, lost to DJ Burns and NC State Wolfpack. Obviously very sad, but incredible run for NC State. I think in that game the problem was that our guards, or out of their guards, Jared McCain was really the only one who could shoot the ball. He showed real hard. He recently declared for the draft along with Filipowski, so excited to do what they can do. But really, like Roach, Proctor, they just couldn't shoot the ball. And I feel like Proctor keeps, kind of disappearing in the big games, like the UNC game. But he recently said that he's going to come back for his junior year. So I guess we'll see if he could step up next year with all the incoming talent with the freshmen. But now what I'm going to talk about, Final Four, we saw NC State play Purdue, UConn take on Alabama. And then in the first game of the day, I think the big story of the game was that the size of Zach Edey was just too much for NC State. Can't say it enough, though. NC State can't be discouraged. Just a great run. Zach Edey went to work as usual. Sometimes it just felt like Purdue was boring to watch, just their play style. That's why even as a Duke fan, I still wanted State to beat Purdue. But Zach Edey did silence a lot of haters this year. Finally made a deep run in the tournament after getting booted early for the past few years. Really balled out in this one, too. Did his thing in this game, 20 points, 12 rebounds. The size factor is just too much for NC State. And even when he wasn't scoring, such a big threat that he's bringing attention from a few different guys on State's team, so he's getting his teammates open. For State, DJ Horn had 20 points, DJ Burns had 8. The Magic looked like it finally came to an end in this one. I don't know what kind of switch they flipped in the ACC tournament, but they really looked unbeatable with their play style in the past few weeks from the end of the ACC tournament all the way to the Final Four. But unfortunately for them, final score is 63-50. Nothing really to be sad about. Completely beat the odds. Just to think it all came from that one missed free throw at the end of the Virginia game, and then threw up a prayer, hit the backboard, and went in. If he made that free throw, none of this happens. So anyways, for the other game later in the night, UConn took on Alabama, and this was a really good one. Even Dan Hurley said it after the game. They gave him a real challenge, but just not enough for UConn. Mark Sears played great, 24 points. Grant Nelson had 19, 15 rebounds. So those two really worked most of the load for Alabama. Just tough shots hit by Mark Sears all tournament long to keep their run going. But overall, UConn was just too much in the end for Bama. I think for me, the thing that really stands out is the coaching. Obviously, they have great players, Tristan Newton, Stephon Castle, Donovan Clingan, Caravan. But Dan Hurley made a promise a few years ago that he was going to bring this program back, and I think he really kept his word on this one. Just his attitude towards the game and his players. I was watching some clips from a practice they had and just how hard he works their players. He's truly creating championship guys and really turning this program back around. I think people need to start talking more about UConn being a blue blood, along with teams like Duke, Kansas, UNC. But in this game, the work was really just done. As a team, great team effort, 5 guys in double digits. Here they are, Cam Spencer, he had 14, Tristan Newton had 12. Alex Caravan had 14. Donovan Clingan had 18, and Stephon Castle had 21. I really should have known that UConn was going to go back-to-back, and originally I did have them winning it all, but for some reason I just felt the need to be different. It was obviously it was obvious in my opinion that they were just the best team throughout the season, the most consistent. You had good teams like Houston, but when you look at consistency, UConn was definitely on top. Next up, I will be talking about national championship where UConn took on Purdue, and that will be coming your way right after this short break. Welcome back. Going to quickly go over this national championship game. 2 1 seeds, I think definitely the best two teams in college basketball. And in the first half, this game was pretty close. Both teams scoring the ball back and forth. Zach Edey was keeping it close for Purdue, and what a game he had, 37 points and 10 boards. But once it got to the second half, that's where the game sort of started to change, and UConn's lead started getting a little out of hand for Purdue. And I think the problem was just that they were depending so much on Zach Edey. I mean, he really was just doing everything for them. And then when there were times where he had to take a quick rest or whatever, UConn definitely took advantage of this. Purdue in this game was definitely needing more out of their other players. Second leading scorer, Braden Smith, he had 12 points, so a huge gap. And then from there, Lance Jones had 5. I mean, the scoring was just so dependent on Zach Edey. And they finally played a team who was able to contain him enough. I mean, obviously, 37 points, I wouldn't say they contained him. But they took away all the other factors on this team, and they shut him down enough to take this one. But in this game for UConn, just a great performance from Tristan Newton, transfer out of East Carolina, and he stepped up big the past 2 years. 20 points, 7 assists in this one. He had a ton of tough shots, both from 3 as well as great finishes over Zach Edey. Stephon Castle also had a good game too, 15 points, and he looks to be about a top 10 draft pick this year. He's been a great guy for them all year, step up big in March, and pretty consistent throughout the whole season. Clingan had 11, Spencer did 2. This team is just so well-rounded. Past 2 games, you see 4 or 5 guys in double digits. UConn, just too good this year. But in the end, we know what happened. UConn came out as champions. Dan Hurley winning his 2nd in a row. Once again, though, Dan Hurley really just turning it around for UConn, going back to 2020, telling everyone that they're going to be a feared team soon, and he just didn't lie. Truly just breeding different players in champions. That's all I got for this week. March Madness is over, so the name of the show and everything, I have to talk about something else, but probably going to keep the name. 100% will be basketball related. Most likely with the NBA playoffs coming up, it'll be playoff coverage. But thanks for tuning in today, and stay tuned for next week.